What's up, guys? It's Lord Botha here with another video, and this video is going to be about the recent news we see here from Microsoft, in which DEI lead blasts the company in an internal email after the team is reportedly laid off. That's right, you heard that correctly. Microsoft has laid off their DEI team, their Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team. Microsoft is reportedly shuttering a major Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion DEI team, according to an internal email sent by the team's leader to a significant number of Microsoft staff last week, in which the lead also accuses the company's executives' leadership of investigated and evidenced discrimination, harassment, and toxicity. The email, first reported by Business Insider and corroborated by IGN, was sent by the former lead of Microsoft's key DEI teams. In it, they state that their role and team were eliminated due to changing business needs as of July 1st, 2024. IGN has reached out to Microsoft for comment as to the full extent and nature of these layoffs, but has not yet heard back. Unofficially, in my opinion, not specific to Microsoft alone, but Project 2025 looms and true systems change work associated with DEI programs everywhere are no longer business critical or smart as they were in 2020. Hence the purposeful and strategic 3 to 5 year shelf life of many companies' inclusion commitments post the deletion of George Floyd are being reevaluated. And the way I see it, the timing was impeccable, so businesses everywhere could reevaluate the path forward should their U.S. federal contracts be at risk if more work continues on its face. It's a very interesting direction the leader of the DEI team seems to be taking here. He says in this email that his role and the team were eliminated due to changing business needs as of July of 2024. Basically, Microsoft was telling them we're going in a different direction. And his response to this was not, hey, our team is actually important and necessary and you need us, right? He didn't try to sell them at all on his team or anything like that. Instead, he opens with essentially, this is discrimination, harassment, toxicity. They're getting rid of us because of Project 2025 and because conservatives are coming into power. The email goes on to praise the work of DEI teams at Microsoft, saying that impossible mountains were moved, etc., etc., etc. In a statement shared with Business Wire, spokesperson Jeff Jones said, our D&I commitments remain unchanged. Our focus on diversity and inclusion is unwavering, and we are holding firm on our expectations, prioritizing accountability, and continuing to focus on this work. I like that statement from Jeff Jones. I mean, it's utter bullshit, because he's basically like, hey, we're still committed to DEI. Sure, we just fired our entire DEI team, but hey, we're still committed. Microsoft is just one of the numerous tech and gaming companies that made major commitments to diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the last 4 years, particularly in the wake of the 2020 deletion of George Floyd and the summer of Black Lives Matter protests that followed. Yeah, it was a great idea, right? George Floyd was killed. There were protests in the streets of multiple cities in which multiple businesses and things like that were burned down. And Microsoft and other companies saw that and said, you know what? Let's put some more black people. Microsoft in particular unveiled a racial equality initiative, because nothing screams affirmative action and you got your job based solely on your race like something that's called a racial equality initiative. Pledging to increase representation, invest an additional $150 million in diversity and inclusion. Some might call that a huge waste of money, not me, of course, but some people, and double the number of Black and African American leaders in its U.S. divisions by 2025. However, in the years since, a number of tech companies such as Google, Meta, have begun to make significant cuts to DEI programs they launched in 2020. Now, I have heard some discussions on this, and I have to say there are some interesting ideas in this specific paragraph of the article. One possible theory is that they're cutting their DEI teams because they hit those 2025 goals. I mean, 2025 is not too far off, and if we filled all the positions we said we wanted to fill and got the amount of black people we want employed, right, then there's no real need for those DEI teams, right? However, I don't think that's actually the case. I'm pretty sure that if they hit those numbers, they would say, well, we should just try to even increase those numbers more. Because we have expected growth in our company, so our expected leadership should be at least equal to the percentage they are now in terms of their diversity. The second thing here you might take away from this is that they're getting rid of their DEI teams because their DEI programs only cost them money. The DEI teams don't generate any kind of revenue. They don't create any kind of product. They're not part of any kind of accounting that's needed. All the DEI team is there to do is to ensure equity, inclusion, and diversity. I mean, these are things that could be argued are repeated tasks, right? And in economically down times such as they are now, these kinds of programs, unnecessary ones, are the first to go. Programs that don't generate any revenue are unnecessary when you have a business that's primary goal is to generate revenue. And I honestly think that's probably the reason why these DEI teams are being let go. The economic forecast is bad. It's probably going to even get worse. And I don't think Microsoft is cutting their DEI team just because they have seen the light and they think hiring people based solely upon their race or their gender or their sexuality is bad. I don't think Microsoft is switching back to a purely merit system, if it ever was truly a purely merit system to begin with. And it's also possible, since they reaffirmed their statement in this article, that while diversity, equity, and inclusion teams might be gone, they could just be rebranding and bringing in these teams under a different name, under a different guise. We know that bridge is a thing, and it is going to be the new kind of cloak of DEI going forward. So while this is a step in the right direction in terms of getting the gaming and sort of software industry into a more merit-based system, I don't think it's actually going to achieve those goals the way we think it is. But those are just my thoughts on the subject. If you have your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments section. If you like this video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you listening to all of it. We'll talk to you again later.